guys, welcome back to the channel. So this video is some older clips from a little ways back. I haven't been able to get access to them because my old computer died on me. I have the new computer and I was able to get access to those files. So now I'm throwing these things together. This is part of the Prelude series, so that is still a thing, and we will have more content as far as the Prelude goes here in the near future. I still got to get the transmission completely separated from the motor and get the motor on the stand so we can start pulling it apart and working on it. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, enjoy this video on some cool things that I learned and tried out on the Prelude's bumper. Today we're working on the S-size bumper. I've already sanded it down a bit. So the previous owner had spray painted it, and they spray painted a lot. Pretty thick. Honestly, the spray paint job isn't half bad. Problem is this bumper is just complete trash, and same with the car. The paints, it's not that bad. It's 10-foot paint. You stand back 10 feet, it doesn't look half bad, but I've already started working on getting some of the paint off. With this bumper, we are going to try and fix it. There's some pretty bad spots. Hey, I'll show you. So we got some pretty bad spots that we've got to try and fix. This spot here, it looks like somehow, somewhere, it was melted, and so you got this big old divot here. We got several big holes that we're gonna have to fill. This big old melted divot, it's not just melted, it's cracked here. It's pushing the bottom of the bumper out, which has broke the grill. So we're gonna try and see if we can heat it up and reform it, shrink it a little bit, and see if we can get it to look halfway decent. Let's see. We've got several spots like this. We got a big old crack and gouge there. Here's the other side of that. There's some more gouges and stuff. This bumper, if I can save it, it's going to require a lot of some body fill for sure to try and smooth it out before paint. But originally I probably wasn't going to. Oh yeah, there's a big hole here. They like cut a hole, and then it looked like there's on the actual bumper there's some sort of metal piece welded, so it looks like they had inserted some sort of light or something. I don't know, it's weird. And then we got all the holes from the self-tapping screws all the way across that we've got to try and fill. There's going to be several methods that we're going to be using to fix this. Like I said, I've already sanded it. I've got 240 grit sandpaper, which works okay. Unfortunately, my air compressor does not keep up with the sander, so I sanded what I've gotten here with the hand sander, and I'm probably just going to have to block sand the rest of it, which means I'm going to have to go get some heavier grit sandpaper, 200 or 150 or something like that, just something a little bit heavier. But for now, we've got this sanded down enough where we can kind of sort of work on it. We're going to use several methods, like I said. We're going to try using plastic welding. I don't know if you've heard of that. Plastic welding is basically you have a tool. It's like you use a soldering iron. That's what I'm going to use. I've got a soldering iron. I'm going to take my soldering tip off. I've got to make a tip for it. So I'm going to take a couple things and we're going to make a couple different tips and make it so it'll insert into my soldering iron, and then we'll insert it into the soldering iron and heat it up. And what we'll do is we'll heat the surrounding plastic up to where it's soft, and then we will take and introduce some more plastic into it and basically kind of fill in the holes and everything. And this bigger stuff, I'm gonna have to get some mesh. There's this mesh fabric that you can get, that you put down, you heat up the plastic around it, you press it down into it, and then you start forming with the new plastic on top of the mesh. So we're going to do that. Definitely we will be filling in with some of the plastic welds, some of these bigger gashes, and then we'll be coming back along with either fiberglass fill or Bondo, probably Bondo, and then hopefully we can get it all smoothed out and in decent shape to use again. My biggest concern is going to be this middle spot where it is it's already pretty melted, and the plastic's kind of it's got a harder texture to it, which got me a little worried because I don't know if I'm going to be able to reform it if it's already been hardened. When it has a harder texture to it, it means it's been overheated. You can use a heat gun for plastic welding. The problem is the heat gun heats it too fast. If you heat the plastic too fast, it becomes brittle and it doesn't stay pliable. So you'll be able to melt it and form it, but once it dries hard and then becomes brittle. And we don't want that. We want to still keep the integrity of the plastic, but be able to reform it and weld it back together to itself. So we'll see if this is going to be workable here. If not, I will do my best to try and just form it back the best I can, and then we may just have to take and put a crap load of fill here. But with that being said, I'm going to get over and make some plastic welding tools, and we will go from there. Okay, so we've got this little spot here. I don't know if you've seen it. So I've already kind of tested out my little thing here. So I have a soldering iron. I took a flat-headed carriage bolt and I ground down the shaft so it'd fit into my soldering iron, and it works perfectly. So I don't have any plastic welding sticks yet. I need to order them, but you can use zip ties. So there's this little hole here that we are going to work on here. So this is pretty awesome. So you kind of start softening up the plastic in the area that's affected till it's nice and soft. Once it's soft, you will start adding in your other plastic. And what you want to happen is you want both plastics to fuse together. So what we're going to do is we're going to so there's actually a little bit higher temp versions of this. This is kind of makeshift, kind kind of do what you can with what you have. It looks super kind of weird, and it's not going to look all that great, but it takes some time and practice. Like I said, this is not something that this is kind of the first attempt here. Actually, no, I take that back. It's not a first attempt. I've actually done this before on some kids' toys, and we had a hole in a bucket and I patched the hole. One of the best ways and best things to use, I'm not so sure that I'm liking the zip tie idea. Doesn't seem like it's really wanting to melt all that much. Yeah, it's kind of melting now. Maybe I can get a bunch of this plastic on here and then melt it down. There we go. Maybe it just takes a little bit of time. There we go. I gotta work it back in to the other plastic. Like I said, this may not be the most ideal tool. They have tools out there for this. But working with the concepts that I have researched and learned, this may take a little bit longer to do, but it is virtually the same thing. So now you're seeing the bumper, the paint's kind of crumpling away. So now we got the bumper and the fill material. It's now all working together. I'm not too worried about, I'm going to try and keep it this round edge here, but I'm not super worried about it because it's going to be sanded down and worked anyway. I'm just trying to work in that patch. Okay, I'll let that dry for a minute. Trying to see, just trying to see if there's any other little holes that go all the way through that we can patch here. Okay, that looks pretty good. And it's actually dry, so that is all done there. Then I'll have to go back through. I'm going to patch everything on this side, and then I'll go back through on the other side, and we'll reinforce the back. But that's patched and solid right there. Couple low spots and that I might I'd probably go back through and melt a little more of the plastic stick down onto it and try and fill it up, or I can leave it and sand it all down and just fill a little bit with some body fill. But there's that, these bigger holes and that. So usually bigger holes like this, or this one over here, or even these big cracks, what you want to do is get actual like strips of plastic. So like if you go to junkyard or whatnot, you find broken pieces of bumper or anything like that around, you actually want to try and grab those and hang on to them, because you can sand them down to the plastic and you can cut them into strips or pieces or even patches, and you put the patch down and then you can use the patch and weld around it, and that's also where you will use the stainless steel mesh fabric, especially on something like this down here, this big old split here. I'm definitely gonna have to use some mesh on that. These little holes and these here and this, I might even be able to patch this with just the plastic stick. Those are, you can use just plastic fill stick. Any holes like this one here in the front and these bigger holes, you're gonna want to get a chunk of plastic. But yeah, so that's two spots that we have filled and fixed, and it already looks, that looks great, those spots that we fixed. I'm just trying to find any other smaller. I guess we can do these smaller holes here. Might as well, right? Since we're right here anyway, I'm not going to do that one. We'll do these two. Let's do this one first. What's up, everyone? So I'm actually pretty psyched about this. I have a long ways to go. So yeah, but you know how earlier I was saying I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to save this thing. Well, let me just show you. So, of course, I still got to do this portion. So I've made my way from over here to the middle. So we patched this spot here. You guys remember doing that? We come through. We patched a few of those holes. I patched a hole there. I still got these holes to patch. But this bad boy, I mean, you guys remember how that thing was sticking out? This is sticking out. This is all folded over a little bit. So it's still a little wavy. There's a little bit of a divot right here. And I got a spot to patch here. I was able to patch this right here. It come out pretty nicely. There we go. Yeah, so obviously the paint's it's still kind of wrinkled. A lot of that I'm gonna end up sanding out. And it looks like I didn't see this. So I'll have to come back through and fill in that one. I got this one though. That one was pretty big. So it was folded over on itself, and I really wasn't sure if I was going to be able to fix it. I mean, it's still, I'm going to have to do a little bit of work, try and get this a little closer to where it's supposed to be. We'll get that as close as we can. You see the plastic can still move over a bit. So I can work it still. But I can't do it anymore free-handed, so I was brainstorming on how I can actually get this flat, but I'm gonna have to fix this first. And this is big enough and in a strange enough spot where I am going to have to use mesh for this spot from the back. And I'm gonna definitely need the actual welding tool. It has a spade on it. Throw a little bit of fill in, sand it down, and I'm starting to really think that this bumper has a chance. That was these two spots, my biggest concern. I was not hopeful for this spot. I still am in shock at how well that came out. Like I said, it's a little wavy, but with a little bit of work, I think it's gonna work, which is awesome.